What's going on, family? It's your boy, the Expert Genius, aka XP, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hop into this video because what's going on in boxing today, especially in the heavyweight division concerning PEDs, especially over there in the UK, is complete and utter BS. So let me get into it. Oh, and shout out to my brother, Mr. Boxing Today, because he did a great video with his dad yesterday explaining Diana Ball and the pros and cons. And I'm going to piggyback off of that video he did yesterday. So, shout out to my brother, Mr. Boxing Today, and go subscribe. But here we go. UKAD takes the position that until adjudication process is over and due process is complete, there has not been a finding that a fighter is in breach of its PED protocol, and a sanction cannot be put in place by the British Boxing Board of Controls. Meaning, as far as the BBBC and UKAD are concerned, until White has exhausted his appeals process, the matter is still, as of yet, unresolved, which for those paying attention means the BBBC and UKAD are allowing fighters using PEDs to compete against presumably clean fighters, despite the concerns about the safety of the fighters or sanctity of the sport coming into the bout. So, with that said, while everybody's throwing out this allegedly term when it comes to Dillian White, that's why they're throwing it out there, is because these stupid rules the British Boxing Board of Controls have over there in the UK. They're allowing fighters to test positive for PEDs, and they're allowing them to get in the ring until the whole process is over with. They get the B samples back and all that kind of stuff. We just had 2 fighters die in the ring this past weekend. What if that fighter would have been Oscar Rivas? Would y'all still be hiding behind these rules? And here's another thing. With everybody saying, oh, VADA, VADA did testing. VADA did testing too. VADA did testing. Yeah. VADA did do testing on Dillian White. But Dillian White got popped for Diana Ball. Well, 2 Diana Ball metabolites in his system July 17th, 3 days before his fight with Oscar Rivas. VADA did their testing a month and 2 days before he popped dirty on June 15th. Now check this out. Had White's failed test, I need to calm down. All right. Had White failed a VADA test, the results would have been reported not only to White's camp and British regulators, but also to Team Rivas and the WBC. See, by the British Boxing Board of Controls rules, they only have to inform Dillian White of his failed test, his promoter, and themselves. They don't have to inform Oscar Rivas, and they don't have to inform the WBC, which is the sanctioning body they're fighting in. Now, the WBC, their president, Mauricio Suleiman, has stated that he's trying to get in contact with the British Boxing Board of Controls to get information and results on Dillian Whyte's failed tests, so they can do their own inquiry. Now, here's another thing, because my sister's in the military, my dad is in the military. We have some family members that study law, and my dad always said when he was in the military, you have to watch what you say and how you say it, because it might come back and haunt you. Like, let's say you and your wife, or if you're a lady listening, you and your husband was in a car and a man came up and just shot at your car. You do an interview with the police and say, yeah, the man came up, just shot at the car. But when you get to court, you might change the with a, and you in court you might say, yeah, a man came up, and shot at the car, and they're gonna be like, oh, hold on. Even though they know what you're talking about, they're gonna be like, hold on. Was it the man that came up and shot at the car, or a man? Y'all wondering where I'm getting at with this? Eddie Hearn, when he came out and said, oh, Dillian Whyte was cleared by VADA and UKAD. But let's get into a statement from Eddie Hearn on why Oscar Rivas' team was not informed of Dillian Whyte's failed tests. And I quote from Eddie Hearn: UKAD cleared him to fight. When a fighter is cleared to fight of a testing agency, how do you go to Rivas and say, just to let you know, we had an issue with a drug test, but that's been all cleared up? He didn't mention VADA, he just mentioned UKAD, because VADA wasn't even in the hearing or the inquiry they did with Dillian Whyte to clear him to fight. You see the differences right there? In one statement, he says VADA and UKAD, they all did extensive tests and were cleared by both VADA and UKAD. But here you see he's saying they were just cleared by UKAD. They're covering themselves, and it makes, I'm not trying to protect VADA because they did their test a whole month and 2 days before he failed the test, but it makes them look bad, and it's putting the WBC in a bad position because this whole thing is protected by UKAD and the British Boxing Board of Controls, because under their rule they don't have to inform the WBC, even though it's the sanctioning body that Dillian Whyte was fighting in. They don't have to inform them that one of their fighters in their sanctioning body has failed a drug test. Now, going back to VADA test on June 15th, this is where I'm going to bring in what my bro, Mr. Boxing Today's father said, who's been weightlifting for over 30 years, said about Diana Ball. Said Diana Ball pros in it is it makes you stronger, but it gives you a bloated look, kind of like water weight. Now go to the weigh-in. Dillian White weighed the heaviest he's ever weighed in his career, but at the weigh-in, he kind of looked, like, well, okay, 259 pounds. He came in heavy, but he looked good. But the next day, the day of the fight, he was bloated. The man was bloated. Now, with that said, his father also said that unlike testosterone that might stay in your system for 2 or 3 days, Dianabol stays in your system for a few months. Now, he could have started taking this after he was tested by VADA on June 15th. And we already know what happens over there in the UK. I just explained their rule, and you've seen that the same thing happened with Tyson Fury back in 2015, after the Christian Hammer fight, going into the Vladimir Klitschko fight, where Tyson Fury and his cousin Fury tested positive for nandrolone. And on Tyson Fury's account, both his A sample and B sample came back with nandrolone in it, and they swept it under the rug. You really didn't hear about it until after he had already beat Vladimir Klitschko and won the WBA, IBF, and WBO titles from Vladimir Klitschko. You see how their systems and their rules over there is BS. They full of crap, man. And with everything I'm seeing and how I'm lining it up, yes, Dillian White should have a 4 to 8 year ban. His career should be over. He's already failed a test for methotrexate, which I don't know what he failed for. It had methotrexate in it, but he failed the test back in 2012 for Jack 3D. Yeah, got a 2-year ban. So he's already failed the test, and he's already had a 2-year ban. And this is his second offense, but he's been going around accusing people of being drug cheats and pointing the finger at them. But by their rules, it's like, even if, to me, how I see it, even if the WBC gets the information and all that, it's like their hands are tied, because UKAD, the British Boxing Board of Controls, Dillian White, and Eddie Hearn are going to hide behind the British Boxing Board of Controls rules. And I've already stated that UKAD, they support the requirements of the World Anti-Doping Code, but they only support the requirements within the UK. And the UK rules is full of crap over there. So how I'm looking at it is, nothing's about to happen to Dillian White. This is going to be swept under the rug, and they're going to act like nothing happened. It don't exist. I'll be surprised if something do happen. And why is it taking this long for the B sample to come out? It's already been a week since the fight. He fought on the 20th. What? Today, what? The 27th? Something like that. They let him know of his failed test on the 17th. It takes 24 to 48 hours to get the B sample back. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It takes 24 to 48 hours to get the B sample back. But by rule of the British Boxing Board of Controls, they can hold that up for at least a year or more in litigations. Like I said before, we seen what happened with Tyson Fury and Nandrolone. I mean, this is just all some BS. But you know, I'm gonna have some more information later on. I just had to get this off my chest. You know, shout out once again to my brother, Mr. Boxing Today. Shout out to Blood Boxing. That's my big bro. You know, go subscribe to him. Ooh, I can't even explain how good this man's videos are. You know, go subscribe to my brother BFTB Boxing. For any of you trolls, go to the graveyard. We'll be waiting. Go subscribe to the General 78. You know, and you definitely gotta subscribe to K-Hole Trill Boxing Talk. That's where it's at. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and any brothers that I forgot. You'll find them. Subscribe to them as well. This is your boy, the Expert Genius, aka XP. And until next time, have a blessed day, and I'm out. Peace.